Do you like my Christmas sweater?
Nope.
Okay. It's already recording.
Oh, I know. I heard
Yeah.
as I
Ha,
walked in.
ha. I wanted to trick you into saying something bad.
No, I'm not,
Oh
well,
my God.
you don't have to trick me into saying bad things. I'll do it. I'll just do it.
Yeah.
I don't
Nice.
need
I was
any.
like, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I don't need any prompting.
Nice. I was gonna wear this sweater and be like, since it's like we do this every 2 weeks and we're less than 2 weeks until Christmas and I had a minor freak out. Anyways, I was like, I'll wear this Christmas sweater as long as I can before I get too hot. And I'm already too hot, so I'm taking it off right now.
Oh, well, then look at me. I'm showing a little bit of
Yeah,
cleavage
you're
too.
you're like, I'm all so hot.
Burt Reynolds.
Is it offensive to say old man hot?
No, I'm not remotely offended.
Okay, good.
You're talking about me, right?
Yeah, not me. I'm fat
Old
guy
men,
hot, if
old men get
anything.
hot. We get
That's
hot.
true. I mean, like, old man sexy. I just didn't know if you were like one of those dudes who hated being called an old man.
No, I don't mind at all, actually.
Don't call me old man. That's my
What are you supposed
father.
to, what are you supposed to do?
I don't know. Ignore your fucking full mortal collapse.
We know this. I try to live as much as I can in a bubble of reality.
There you go. The reality I like that is curtailed to my interests and
So,
wants.
good news, bad news.
Yeah.
Bad news, I just noticed my clothesline fell down.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I'm gonna
What
have to
about your
fix
clothes?
that.
Hmm,
Well, there were no clothes on it because
that's good.
we're in the winter months, so we
Mm,
use the dryer. In
yeah.
the summer months, we use the clothesline. So that's bad news. Good news, found a new podcast this week, and I've been indulging massively in it.
Oh,
Really, really, really good podcast.
what
Bad
is it?
news, it's about Pickton.
Oh, that's dark.
It couldn't be darker. And it's by a Vancouver-based podcaster who has not been nominated by the Golden Globes, which I think is a pretty huge oversight.
Hmm.
Embarrassing for the Globes, I feel.
Yeah.
But Vancouver-based guy, Mark Devereaux, and he calls himself the Dark Mind Detective. And
Oof.
so far, I think he's the real thing. And he's being very, very witheringly honest about
Like an actual
Pickton.
detective or an actual dark mind
Like,
when you say real. Sorry, when you say real thing.
I think that he's
Sorry, I didn't mean to make you quantify. Did you just freeze? Did I just freeze? Aw, we're just about to get into the shit. Okay, you're back.
there we go.
Oh, great.
Is
Now I
that
have
you
to
or me?
edit that.
I'm having it. I'm like hardwired here, but I got a fucking funky island internet. Not
Yeah, I
great.
was actually gonna say you and me have been really good so far on this podcast. Everybody, I usually get like touchy, but I was actually pretty surprised. Salt Spring has I don't know if you want people to know you live. Well, whatever.
I said it.
Yeah,
The thing is,
good.
we're where on Salt Spring? That's your
That's
challenge.
true. That giant island, it'd be hard to find you.
Bigger than you think.
That's what I
And
tell the
it's
girls, and then they're
it
like, "No, it's not," and I'm like, "Shit."
there's I don't think I'll ever know this island. There's all sorts of off-road communities
Underground
and
bases.
well, okay. I know this guy who
Wait, wait,
claims
wait,
to
wait,
be
wait, wait. Sorry, sorry. Far be it from me to interrupt a good underground story, but I just want to go back to this podcast because before you froze, I, like a dickhead, was like, "What do you mean he's the real deal?" Trying to like make you explain the complexity of that. And then you were like mid sentence and it froze. So I just wanted to touch back for the audience and be like a good guy who has a lateral narrative or linear
okay. So
narrative.
the Pickton investigation was amounted to an enormous cover-up.
Oh yeah, dude.
The Wally Opal's investigation into it, or what do they call it? Not investigation, but the official, whatever,
Hmm.
led by our Justice Minister Wally Opal. It was horse shit and a cover up. And yeah, this fellow, the Dark Mind Detective, is going deep. It's if you're gonna listen to it, start with an episode called I think it's called the 10 Anomalies. or 10
Yeah.
anomalies. And that's enough. That's enough to get your jaw on the floor. I mean, everybody knows there's way more to that.
Hmm. Well, like I think it was last podcast on the left, which is like a true crime podcast out of like the state somewhere, and they're like comedians slash live performers who do like true crime. So I like it because they like make jokes and stuff, and they had a really good Pickton series, and they were saying how, like you said, there's like this big cover up, and they didn't want to admit it, and like Vancouver had like three serial killers active at the same time, and then basically the aftermath of how bad they fucked up was they had to purge the entire police department and hire new guys and like recycle everybody out because it was like because Pickton was so ingrained in like the neighborhood and the I don't know the society I guess and like he had like parties on his land and stuff, so it's like it's crazy
Oh
because
yeah,
it's like
Piggy Palace was a big venue.
yeah it's like you
Held
think
like
about
2,500 people.
you hear about it and you're like, oh, pig farmer, whatever, just some gross guy who smells like pig shit and off in the woods. But it's like you go to where the Picton land was now, and it's like the suburbs of Port Coquitlam. Like there's like townhouses and shit that they like government built on his land after they sold it after they. Anyways, so that's another thing.
There's an
But
episode called Cursed Soil, and I would not want to build, I would not want to live on that land.
oh
But
no,
but
never.
part of the story of that episode is that I guess the Pictons had a topsoil business, and
Ooh,
that stuff
ooh,
was spread all across the greater Vancouver area.
mm-hmm.
School playgrounds and so forth.
Oh
And
no,
what I admire about this guy is that he's willing to go there. You know, he
yeah.
talks about, and it's not like he's necessarily endorsing this a theory, but he points out that the idea of cursed earth is occurs in occult thinking. Um,
And yeah,
he'll talk about trauma-based mind control. He'll talk about all of those subjects that are sort of off the official roster. So
and the
I
thing
do
is, it's
appreciate that.
like we've said before, I think we were talking about last podcast. It's like it's not even necessarily whether you believe in cult thinking or whatever.
No,
It's if
they do.
whoever's trying to do stuff to you believes in it. And like you said, cursed earth, like and like mind control through stuff. Like if you hear that Picton soil's just on your kid's playground, that's not going to be a thought that just leaves your head and you never think of again.
You
That's
wouldn't be
just
comfortable with it.
it's going to dwell in there, and then it's
Mhm.
just going to lead you like down a path of darkness, for better lack of a better term.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I was
yeah.
like, and I'm starting to think like I was thinking about this morning because I put the P Diddy doc on the docket to talk about. More specifically, they talk about this city college thing where in the documentary they're like just explaining who Puff Daddy was, where he came from, what happened, and then there was this thing where he went try to have a back in like 92 or something, he tried to have a celebrity rap basketball game, and then the way the gym was laid out, there was like these doors at the bottom of the stairs that opened outward towards the stairs, and then people stampeded and nine people died. And then in the documentary they're like, that's when Puff Daddy got really famous because he got all this exposure. And then you're like, holy fuck, is this another example of like sacrifice for fame thing? And then I was like, I don't think P Diddy like, and it's like you think about the other famous examples of this, like we've talked about Dave Grohl and Kurt Cobain and stuff. And I was thinking about this today because it's not necessarily that they made a compact with a dark god at the crossroads and they like, if I do this, will you do this? It's just that it's like this like path of dark thinking and feelings and like motivations. Whereas like if something dark happens and then you capitalize on it, does that mean everything after that is tinged with darkness and you're more willing to be open to, like, say, cult groups who approach you and be like, hey, we know what happened with those nine dead people. That's why we're here. And then this loops back into the, like, Pickton thing because it's like, if you find out that there's a playground that has the topsoil from the Pickton farm that could have the bad juju or even like contaminants, we'll say that to be super nice, would cult groups be more likely to go to that playground and do dumb shit like I'm talking about like idiots who aren't like magicians or whatever, just like enthusiasts, I guess, who are like dumb kids who want to like do stuff to try to be like, hey, look at me, I'm cult. Like, would they go to these playgrounds and like basically fuck around and do dumb shit, which turns into bad shit, which turns into evil shit?
Mm. All very good questions. No, no
Yeah.
answers.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah, I do. I think that kind of thing is, you talk about celebrities. I sort of my operating assumption is that you reach a certain level of fame, and you have certainly been compromised one way or another,
mhm.
and very possibly there are. What's the name of the book in Rosemary's Baby? They all be witches or something. No, I think when Roman Polanski is trolling you, you should listen.
Yeah. And it's
But
funny because it could even be that like uh the gatekeepers won't even let you get to a certain amount of fame unless you like guess
well,
it
that's the thing, yeah.
in
And
a
then that,
certain
that is,
way.
and I think it's also self-generating.
Hmm.
It doesn't necessarily take somebody to knock on the door and go, okay, you do this, and we'll give you this. It might be.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're all sensitive. If you're in the arts, you're picking up on the signals.
Hmm.
You don't doesn't need to be explicit. But I don't know because I'm just a regular guy on an island.
I'll actually give you a good example of this that isn't dark culture, but it's something I do. So when I'm at work and I have a new job or I meet someone new, I'll make like slight homoerotic jokes. Be
Hmm.
like, hey, we're gonna make out later, something like that. And
Okay.
as much as bad as that is for HR, whatever, but it's more like of a litmus test to be like, hey, are you cool? Like, are you a bigot? Because if you are, I don't really want to talk to you. But if you're willing to joke around about this, then I can assume you have an open mind and you're willing to talk about other things openly and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I do little stress tests with people all the time. It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's a
I mean,
little
it's
dance you
so,
do. I mean, because I got specific issues where I want to know where people stand on certain things because it will affect our relationship.
oh
Uh,
yeah, the we're gonna
and
touch tips is the gateway drug to, can you believe this government and these underground bases?
yeah, as our 6 or 7 listeners know,
Yeah.
I grew up in the country of England back in the
Jolly old England.
1980s, and England's a very haunted land. There's lots of ghosts,
Oh, I just
and
want to say one thing before you get into this ghost story. I don't know why. It's like sometimes it feels like kismet, but I was just online and I was looking at something and somebody was talking about England and they had like their orange juice says with bits instead of with pulp. And they're talking about some guy shined a torch on something instead of a flashlight. And then you have like spanners and stuff. And I was like, like England has to be about 70 or 27% more whimsical than Canada. And it just like shows through and stuff like this. They're like, oh, our orange juice has bits in it. It's like,
yeah.
well, yeah, those bits are called pulp, but they're like, no, we're fine calling them bits. Sorry to interrupt your ghost story. I just wanted to say
Oh,
that
it's
England is
it's
whimsical.
centuries of working people have developed. There's an actual culture there. We don't really have one in Canada.
Dude, the funny thing is, when you were saying that, like the working man stuff, it made me think that, like, because of the accent, it sounds whimsical, but it actually might just be dumb people who are like, couldn't grasp with not calling it bits. They're like, it's bits and not like pulp, or like they still call flashlights torches because they got used to calling lanterns and like fucking on fire sticks torches, and they're like, we're not changing our names, we already call them torches.
Yeah, no, that offers an interesting insight into your deep contempt for working people. Um,
It's because I am one and I'm Gen X, so I hate myself. So there you go, therapists.
yeah.
You just made $100.
I was just gonna say one of the weirdest nights of my life was I was about 16 years old, and I was coming home from a friend's house very late at night, after midnight, a dark, cold English winter night, and I would have
Ooh,
to pass this enormous cemetery in the middle of or cemetery, however you're supposed to say it,
perfect entry to a novel.
graveyard, and I was always uncomfortable. Like I would always run past it. And it would take up what, in Canada would be 2 or 3 city blocks. It was an enormous graveyard with,
So many dead
it's
people in
the
England.
headstones that went back to the 17th century.
Damn.
Yeah. So, and I was actually, oddly enough, I'll just mention, there was a maternity hospital on
Ooh,
one corner, and I
you're
was
just
born
like
there. I was
hitting
born in that. I
every
was born.
aspect of like haunt. You're like,
I
well, there's a
know.
cemetery, there's a maternity ward where obviously babies don't make it, so there's goes there, and then
Oh, yeah, no, they had actual, child corpses
yeah,
littered
and then
all over
you're
the
like
place.
next there's like a mad scientist house where he experimented on bodies.
Don't know
Sorry,
about that, but
keep going.
well, of course, it was the 80s in England, so we were riddled with pedophilia. But
Oh,
yeah, I remember walking past or running past, as was my custom, and thinking on this night in particular, oh, that's a very unpleasant odor, and it got thicker and thicker. Like the further I got in there, and and then anyway, it came out a couple days later that oh yeah, somebody had been in there digging up bodies,
oh, what the fuck?
and I smelled it.
Oh,
But
why
you
were they
mentioned
digging
this
up bodies? Grave digging?
because people do things. They do really
Dig
awful things.
graving?
They do really dick.
Oh yeah.
What? Hey, was there so there's apparently some Diddy documentary on Netflix?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know anything about it, but I do. I do know this. Any documentary made by Netflix for Netflix is about controlling the narrative. It doesn't matter what
Oh.
if it's Jimmy Savile or Jeffrey Epstein or they did that terrible MK Ultra one. It's always about um, excising certain actors from the picture, from the
Well, the
story.
funny thing is, like, because if they're controlling the narrative, they're trying to make P. Diddy look bad. But they had the
But
chance to
only
make him
make him
look
look bad
bad.
in a certain way, and other
Mm.
people will be protected.
Oh, that's a
So
very good point.
now there's a very good author. His name is Hank Albarelli.
Yeah.
I think he's passed away recently, but he wrote like probably the primary text on uh, MK Ultra and its related programs. It was called A Terrible Mistake. It came out in the early 2000s, mid 2000s on Trine Day, and fantastic book, an incredible piece of research. Nobody's heard of it, of course,
What's it called? A
because
terrible mistake?
a terrible mistake.
I'm gonna see if there's an audiobook version of this and listen to it while I work.
So apparently he had a book. He completed a book. There was a documentary. Was it Wormwood? Maybe it was made by Errol Morris, who's a very highly acclaimed documentarian. He made a film called The Thin Blue Line in the 80s, which is a very important documentary. It actually got like a death sentence reversed. Um, so he's considered one of the best in the field. I've had some questions about him for some time, and he was working with Tom O'Neill to adapt Chaos into a
Hmm.
documentary. And Tom O'Neill told me, like on the phone, he said I had to step away because Errol, who's a great guy and a great filmmaker, was trying to take it in a certain direction, and I disagreed. Now, he did end up making his documentary series for Netflix, and Hank Albarelli, I guess, was one of his guests and was so dissatisfied with the end result that he wrote an entire book about it, which has been
Oh,
buried.
really?
You can't find it. Yeah. So that's
Crazy.
Netflix. Netflix is not, I mean, like I need to fucking say this. It's
Yeah.
not to be trusted at all.
One thing that can add credence to your words is that so one of the funny things, the way that Diddy got some or not, the way that 50 Cent, because it's basically a rap beef in documentary form where 50 Cent hates P Diddy so much. And so I didn't look into the history of their beef or whatever, but it's something to do with P Diddy might have been responsible for 50 Cent getting shot 9 times or whatever. So obviously, if I got shot 5 times or 9 times, I would one be dead and two would never drop that beef ever, and I would hold a grudge till I died. But one of the things that happened was P Diddy right before this, like the documentary opens, I think it's like 6 or 4 days before his trial starts, and he has like a footage guy with him who's just like taping like candid footage of him in the like it starts in a hotel room. He's like just talking about to his lawyer on the phone before like he's getting ready to go for a bike ride. And so this is just like an example of what it was. So he has all this footage, and then when Diddy got like convicted and didn't get off, he was like, "Well, I don't need this documentary footage anymore." And he refused to pay the guy who did the services. So there's like this, I guess, this loophole or something. I didn't look into the legality of it, where it's like since Diddy didn't pay him for his work, then he gets ownership of the footage and he sells it to 50 Cent. So it's like you're like, that's weird. It's hilariously bad for P. Diddy, and it just like encapsulates what kind of a business person he was because apparently he was super crooked and wouldn't pay anybody for anything. But it's also like, oh, they just happen to get this super incriminating evidence on video and then give it to the guy who really hates him, who's making a documentary to which they then buy for like 30 million or whatever and then put out.
Hmm.
So I get what you're saying. Like the thing that they were saying about P. Diddy before the trial was that he was basically like Black Epstein, like Blepstein or whatever you want to say. And it was like he was kind of like this gatekeeper to like control who was cool and who got which African Americans or black people got to be famous and in which way. Like there's all these allegations of him and Usher and all this stuff. So they're saying that like he would hold these parties just like Epstein would to get blackmail on people so he could control them and stuff. And then one of the narratives out there is that I don't know if he ran afoul with the agency or the secret agents or whatever the intel, the alphabet agencies, if you want to say it.
Yeah.
So they kind of offered him up as a sacrificial lamb to take the heat. So
I think, yeah, I mean I think that happens, and I think
yeah,
that's when you're offered a little glimpse into that world
hmm
when they throw somebody under the bus.
yeah, and
Like
it's
as I
like,
said, I've said this many times, but when like with Epstein, if they can afford to throw Prince Andrew under the bus,
ooh, yeah,
who's being who you got to ask who's being protected.
yeah. I think it's just like weapons corporations, like big weapons, big drugs. That's really all that.
What has King Fat Fingers got on it, like his rap
Oh
sheet,
my God.
and
Yeah,
what is the story with Diana?
yeah. Well,
You know,
King
it's not
Fat
like I was a
Fingers is protected by the WEF because he's like one of the founding members, isn't he?
I don't know. I know
Yeah, I
he's
think
involved.
him and Klaus Schwab and like a handful of other really nice people who do nothing but good for humanity started the
I'm glad we
WF.
have them.
Yeah. I mean, without them, we wouldn't have Carney, who
And the
was
vaccine
like,
is safe and effective,
yeah,
let's remember.
totally. I mean, yeah, they're like finally now like like starting to admit all that shit now. They're like, "Oh yeah, a child died in the testing from the mRNA vaccine." It's like they're like, "But it was just one." And it's that's part of doing science and you're like, "Yeah, I feel like if you told us that 5 years ago, it would have been not viewed as, oh, that's just one."
We've been over it too many times already, but that
Yeah.
story is extraordinary, and the fact that people aren't being dragged from their homes and hanged in the town square amazes me because
Hmm.
what they did to us and our and your children is it's the crime of the century, if not of all time. It just
Yeah.
is.
It's really
And
unforgivable.
I know that Paul Offit's out there now saying, well, you know, it's as you said, it's the cost of science, and it's just a little bit of
Yeah.
myocarditis. It would be much worse if they, you know, the myocarditis is worse if you get COVID. Well, first of all, that's not true, and secondly, why did you take the vaccine didn't work, so
Yeah.
you're still gonna get COVID. So according to Paul Offit, it's lose lose. Like it's just fucking crazy. It's so crazy. But there will never be any. I mean, amongst normal people, I'm afraid I'm not expecting self-reflection or humility or apologies about any of it.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's like it's not even the like sorry, I had a thought and it just got broken because I heard a loud bang. So I was listening to hear if toddler crying happened. Um, but like one of the things too is like it's not even like you have all these people like in college I was taught, hey, the ends don't justify the means. The whole thought of you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs doesn't matter until like big pharma wants to make a couple bucks, so you hide that there's treatments for COVID so you can get like the emergency approval of the vaccine and stuff. But it's that's not even it. It's like that, and then it's like when they're like, we're gonna have a lockdown for one, and then they're gonna have like the vaccine passport and all this stuff. And it's like, I don't know. It's like I'm very like tormented by it because it's like on one hand,
Me too.
yeah, they definitely shouldn't do that, and it's all bad. But then you have like these bad actors who are also capitalizing on this. Like you have like the convoy people, and like some people are
We're we're,
worshiping them as heroes.
we're gonna disagree. We've already disagreed about the
Yeah.
convoy. I don't understand your take on it.
Well,
Because
my problem isn't that like it was good that people stood up and that ultimately probably helped us in the long run a lot of ways. But another thing was it was kind of like they're blaming Justin Trudeau for some of Biden's. Because for me, the whole problem with COVID stems down to basically Big Pharma and Biden allowing Big Pharma to do whatever the fuck they want. And then us being the little brother of the states, it kind of just all runs downhill.
I
And
think it was more of a transnational military exercise, and I don't think you can put it on a Biden or a Trump
that's a
because
good
it
point.
was actually Trump, if you remember, it was
Yeah.
the Trump vaccine, and then no Democrat would ever take it, and then it was just the same
Yeah.
vaccine. But Biden was. I think these people are they're all you can swap them all out.
Yeah,
Trudeau, all of them.
well, one of my problems with the convoy was they were like saying you need to let us go into the states without getting the vaccine passport, but that wasn't our government, that was the states. That was Biden's thing where he was like, you can't come in unless you have a vaccine passport.
But I think if
So,
the goals of the convoy were maybe a little garbled, what it did
yeah,
represent, and this is where I really have a I mean this is where I parted permanently from what presents itself these days as the left.
yeah,
I think in contrast to so many huge events like
hmm
BLM, this was not astroturfed. This was genuinely grassroots.
hmm
I think
that's actually a good point.
what it actually achieved was whether it was successful or not, it did send a very strong signal to whomever is in
hmm
control that actually people are not as compliant as they hoped. I think it probably stemmed the blood flow for quite a while. And
No, that's actually a really good
the
point, and
worst
I do
part
agree
for
with you.
me, by the way, and bear in mind, like I did donate some money, and I spent like a weekend wondering if I was going to get debanked because of that.
Hmm
But the left in Canada turned on them, turned
Yeah,
on them. Still, the convoy is just a big fucking boogeyman to them. This was, if I understand my marks.
yeah,
We are as socialists, we are supposed to be defending the working class who did take up the means of production
yeah. This
in
was
this
the
case.
seizing of the means of production, like you said. Like this could have been the big capitalist or
This is
communist
the
movement that they all
this
say
is
they want.
the closest thing I've seen in my lifetime,
Yeah.
which is I'm quite old now and I've been
hmm
around. And that maybe, I mean, this is my point of view, but it's the closest thing I've seen to an actual blue collar kind of uprising, right?
That's true.
It was totally natural.
hmm
And the left, which is all made up now of like urban, middle class, educated progressives,
Yeah.
not working people,
No,
progressives, they fucking turned on them.
that's
That
true.
not only did they, and they've turned on them violently. I
Yeah.
remember what happened when it rolled through Vancouver, and all those dumbasses who vote for Cope were there with their fucking their band. What did they called it Ram Ranch? They were like throwing fucking gay slurs at them.
Yeah.
It was insane. It
Yeah.
was
It's funny
insane.
how quick the left just like devolved to gay slurs when it
I
came to
know
like the convoy. You're like, oh, you guys were just pretending for decades that
because they're
that
not.
bugged you and nobody should say it.
It's because they're not the left. They're
That's true.
liberals. And if you scratch a liberal, you'll always find a fucking something else underneath. And
A lizard person.
they revert to their prejudices and their biases very
Oh
quickly,
yeah.
those people. And I don't think they really understand how the world works. Like
hmm
they're like the liberal you've got about a week in a city without, without those trucks coming in, that stuff being moved around. You
Oh
got
yeah,
about
dude.
before
Like
the food runs out.
it's
So why do you
ridiculous. Like when Vancouver was like, oh, we're gonna make it so it's like super hard to drive downtown and we're gonna do like we're gonna test out this like all these like things where people who drive semis downtown have to pay all this extra tax and you're like, dude, do you understand what's gonna happen when you do this? How like tight the profit margins of these trucking companies are? Basically, what's going to happen is everybody who lives downtown Vancouver is going to have to leave Vancouver to get their groceries, and nobody's going to want that because then they can't have their 15-minute walking city that everything's just so close and everything's so happy. And that's another thing to your point, like these 15-minute cities. This is my main problem with the left. Sorry to jump away from the convoy, but this
No, that's
15-minute
fine.
city thing and how fast they're like, yeah, it's for the good of everybody. It's like, no, you guys don't understand. You have a 15-minute city. How easy is it for them to just put up a checkpoint? to get in and out of this
Well, they
50
don't
minute
even have
city.
to do that. It's a digital gulag.
That's
Your
true.
phone's not
Ooh.
going to work. Your money's not going to work.
Mm.
You go past, you're here now. No, you can't go there. Your money's not going to work. Go home.
Yeah.
Your car's not going to work. No, you can't buy gas. No, you can't do that. No, you can't rent this electric vehicle because that's the point of this all this digital centralization
Yeah.
is that like that's the actual social credit system. You are no longer in command of your life. You've
Yeah.
made this deal where like I had a friend who just got back from he was staying with a friend in Toronto, and this guy works in tech, and he's got this like super Google home where everything you just
Yeah.
stand there and go Siri, do this or fucking whatever. What's her face? I don't know, but he's part of he's a eager participant in the Internet of Things and the Internet of Bodies. We don't want this.
No, early
We don't.
adopters. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and of course they work in that industry, and oh, well, the same dummies are going to fall for this. And I see the same arguments. They're just gonna, we're having this conversation, so we are now just conspiracy theorists. It's so
Oh,
dismissive
where
and it's so blind.
yeah.
And
And it's funny because sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I
no,
was
that's fine. I'm just
the one
it's my usual rant. You've all heard it before.
the one promising and kind of depressing thing about the whole vaccine passport and everything was it was basically they don't have the digital infrastructure to make it work yet. Like they don't have the ability where you have a beeper basically on you and it like automatically tracks where you are. So of course they do if it's your phone, but then they basically have to have like one dude for every three phones just monitoring them. But it ran down to like they had to make hostesses at restaurants make you show them like that you had the thing on your phone, that
Yeah.
you had to download yourself, that you had to get instructions to go to a website to like put in your name and all the stuff. And it's like on one hand it's like super draconic and it's terrible that you have to give them your public information or your private information and then download this thing onto your phone so that you could prove who you are. But on the other hand, it's like, yeah, we're not there yet. Like you still have to
No,
download a thing and show them.
that's the only reason I haven't fallen into absolute cynicism and pessimism about it all is because I know that what's being proposed is it's not going to work.
Yeah.
It's going to fail because things fail, and because you do need people to actually make these things work. And this kind of bizarre transhumanist fantasy of like eliminating humans from everything
Hmm.
is doomed to failure. It is
Yeah.
essentially anti. I keep saying it. Nature will win. Nature always wins. You
Yeah.
cannot win this fight, but they're
And
trying.
and
And
it's
they
like you said, it's like the city. It only lasts a week without people constantly running and fixing everything and feeding everybody. That's
Yes, and yet the opinion makers and the policy makers in those cities who call themselves left wing hate those people.
and they
They
don't.
fucking hate
Yeah.
them. They hate working people. It's this we talk about Satanism. It's a classic inversion. They
Yeah.
they who do they support? They support other educated middle class progressive thinkers
Yeah.
who talk a lot of shit basically. Talk a
And
lot of shit.
And I think I just figured out why they hate them. People have probably said this before. I don't really have that many genius thoughts. But the reason they hate them is because they know they can't exist without them. And
Totally.
it's like why some people hate janitors. It's because they know they personally don't have the ability within them to be the guy who's humble enough to clean up after people. So they realize that they have to have these people around to do the jobs that they either don't want to do or can't do, and that society won't exist without them being done.
I think that the humble is the right word.
Yeah,
It is about humility, and there is no humility in that cohort.
yeah,
Although they, of course, they pretend at humility
hmm,
because they've got their sort of their hierarchy of oppressed people,
yeah,
which is, by the way, is pretty severe. Like some people won't make it into that hierarchy. Like for
yeah,
instance, the unvaccinated don't make it into. They're not oppressed. Those
yeah,
people aren't oppressed. They're just, well, I don't know. They just get discarded. So no, yeah, you're right. There you. I agree 100%. They know that they are useless.
hmm,
I
yeah,
mean, sitting around inventing new names for your fucking, pet oppressed people, that's
yeah.
not a real skill.
No, yeah, and it's funny, like this is why they're so fucking horny to get AI and robots off the ground, is because if you can get AI to do the data entry that you would pay like an unpaid intern or an entry level job, then you don't have to like admit to that you don't like because in like the office job setting, you only get to be like say the editor or the manager of people if there's people to manage. So you look at like you see you're sitting in this nice office and you've got this big brain job where you can make all this money, but you look out the window and you look at your underlings and you're like, I'd be fucking gone if these people weren't here working for me and doing basically the hard legwork. So you naturally hate them, like they become the janitors or whatever of your job. So you're like, I'll just replace those guys with AI. And then they don't even realize that they're making themselves the bottom rung of the ladder.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's amazing how quickly we vote for our own demise. You
Yeah,
know?
that's true. Like, I can't remember who came up with the term, but it made the sizzle reel of the podcast I listened to, but it's called like suicidal empathy, where as a society you are like empathetic, like you said, you have these hierarchy of stuff, so you like let people do stuff just so that you don't like have to like show that you don't care and stuff. And but I don't know, it's like this whole like
Yeah,
thing that would take forever to explain. But like you said, it's like they don't actually care. They just need people to think they care because it affects like especially with DEI, it affects like their income and the
yeah,
bottom line.
yeah, yeah.
And I've ranted about DEI enough that I don't know. We don't need to
You know
go
what you
so
haven't
hard on it.
ranted about is Opus DEI. Never heard you do that.
What's Opus DEI?
Opus Day? The extreme Catholic into the inner circle. It's like a little like it's like the Catholic version of the Masons. You never heard of Opus
Oh
Day?
no, I haven't, but
Oh,
now that
you
you've
really enjoy that.
uh
Uh,
I don't know if you know
Mel
this, but I had
Gibson's father, Mel Gibson's dad, famously was a member of
oh,
Opus
really?
Day.
That's funny
But
because Mel Gibson's dad was like gonna die, and then Mel Gibson, this is like total anecdote. He went on the Joe Rogan podcast, and then Joe Rogan's like, "Have you heard about stem cells?" And then Mel Gibson's like, "What are you talking about, stem cells?" So basically, Mel Gibson took his dad to Mexico and fire hosed him with stem cells, and then he like got all peppy and like back to normal so he could go do apparently his Opus AI or DEI whatever
Opus
thing.
Day.
Opus Day.
Yeah, yeah, extreme Catholicism. I don't you know, Mexico is lost. My parents live down there and I was talking to a friend at the bar last night who's, you know, we share a similar sort of point of view and
Yeah.
we, you know, we're lamenting how there's nowhere left to escape to. Like whatever's going on right now is global. There's
Yeah.
nowhere to go. Because I thought of, you know, for a while I was like Mexico seems okay, but it's not. It's not okay. One thing I will say for Mexico is that the healthcare system there, which my parents enjoy,
Hmm.
is pretty fantastic, and because they will do like witchcraft. So like my dad, my dad had some like weird joint issue
Yeah.
that had bedeviled him for a decade, and nobody up here could deal with it. And down there, like some doctor looked at it and went, "Oh, let's do this," and like you know, took some of his blood and put it in a machine, and then took the plasma or whatever and injected it into the joint, and it's been fine ever since.
Oh,
And it's
that's
like,
like what's that called? It's like they do that in Germany a lot. Oddly, Joe Rogan was talking about that too, where it's like you take your blood and you put it in a centrifuge and it like realigns the platelets or something, and then you put it back in, and
oh, I don't
it's
know.
basically like taking your Nintendo cartridge and blowing in it and putting it back in.
Yeah. Well, my dad, you know, experienced this and it worked.
And it's
Whatever, you know, sorcery it was, it
yeah.
actually was successful. And
And
I
it's
don't
like
know.
we talk about cult all the time, and you're like, you're gonna mix bloodletting and science, and it's gonna
Yeah.
put your blood back in your body, and you don't think that counts for occultism?
And then
But
worth
like,
mentioning, I suppose, is that like if my doctor here suggested a procedure like that, he would be liable to face prison time and a $250,000 fine under, I can't remember which bill it was, but the last healthcare bill that went through BC.
yeah, that's just because some fucking charlatans who just pretend to be doctors out of their one bedroom apartment just ruined it for everybody else.
I suppose. The other thing is my mom had been, you know, diagnosed with COPD when they lived in Vernon. You're familiar with that city.
Oh,
And
yeah,
they
near and
put her on
dear.
these medications that were like made her, you know, did not didn't that made her health worse.
Hmm.
And then they moved to Mexico and she went and saw a doctor and he's like, you don't have COPD and took her off all the meds and she bounced back. She's
Oh
fine now,
wow. So
you
what
know.
did she
But she
have?
was misdiagnosed and then given a whole bunch of heavy drugs
Was it because
that
Vernon has
harmed her.
fucking fire or like wildfire smoke and it just
Who knows?
buggered
Well,
up her
they
lungs?
asthma. How do you say asthma? Asthma?
Asthma.
Asthma.
Asthma. Asthma. What's the
Is
British pronunciation of that?
isthmus. Do you say grocer or grocer? Do you say you do go to grocery store or the grocery store?
Grocery store. I say a sh.
Mm. Mm. Okay.
I never even really thought about it. What do
Have
you say?
we?
Groceries?
I say groceries, and then my children and my wife ridicule me.
Yeah, we say groceries because Canadians have a speech impediment compared to Brits. That's basically the best way to think about it. It's like our
You,
teeth are shaped different, so we say more shushes in our
your
language.
teeth are shaped different.
Yeah, because you know how British people had teeth that they could like and longer tongues and skinnier jaws because they ate mush for hundreds of years because your whole country slash island slash continent, I don't know what Europe, England, Europe, Britain, whatever the fuck you call it, the conglomerate of all those countries that almost
England
starved to
stands
death
alone.
on numerous occasions. So like one of the things is like you guys all ate mushy peas and mashed potatoes and spotted dicks and puddings and all stuff that's good and fine. But
That's
the
how we
thing is,
won World War One, you know.
that's true. If you eat soft food, then your jaw shrinks side, like shrinks in, and then you're able to pronunciate words more. And then, like if
That's
you
not a
come to
word.
Canada and you have to basically eat rocks and tree stumps to survive because it's a barren wasteland, then our jaws get really wide and our tongues get short, so we say more shizhes. That's why we say grocery store.
You come to Canada, you eat cloned beef and dairy.
That's true. Hey,
Actually, that's been halted.
grade A Alberta clone beef.
Yeah,
Have you?
yeah,
Yeah. Did they
yeah.
stop the like thing where they're like,
They have, yeah, I guess the whatever our food administration has pulled back on this program
oh yeah,
because of public outcry. So just a reminder to everybody, it does actually matter.
oh yeah, vote
Like
with
you
your
can
wallet.
speak
Like,
up.
hey, here's a conspiracy theory for you. Karens are fucking good, and it's the government who's giving them a bad name online because they don't want people to complain and rally the troops. If you don't like something at a store or a restaurant or a service, fucking tell them. It's their job to give you the service they want.
Hey man,
Unless you're being a picky bitch, don't do that. There is a
I
fine
think
line.
your working assumption at all times should be that we are being assailed with social engineering exercises all
Oh
the
yeah.
time. And most of your thoughts are not yours. I'm
Yeah, no.
wondering, I've had a couple of days. I went to work last night and everybody was like, "Hey Adrian, it's our favorite bartender. How are you today?"
Oh, that's nice.
And I was like, not good, not good. And I was not enjoying people's company. I was
Oh.
grouchy and I kept dropping things. Like
Mm.
yeah, anyway, you don't need to know what I dropped. A Heineken bottle, for instance. Lost my bottle opener. It was just I was having a rough night. And I wondered, I heard other people saying, "Yeah, I'm feeling a little off too." And then of course I'm like, "Well, are they spraying us? Like, or did
Yeah.
somebody flick a switch? What's happening? What's happening?" And I mentioned that to a couple of people and they just looked at me. But my
They're like,
friend,
we don't say
she
this out
said,
loud.
"It might just be a change in the weather, honey."
Mm.
Which is, you know, could be. It
It
might be
is.
atmospheric pressure. I've had this pain in my head.
Now ask people in Abbotsford right now how they feel about weird changes in the weather and how it can
Oh,
affect their day-to-day life. But no, I agree with you, like a barometric pressure change.
could have
One
been
of the
that.
reasons actually that convinced me about this was living in Calgary because they get Chinooks that run down like it's
Mhm.
basically warm air runs down the mountain or whatever and hits Calgary and it like changes the temperature like 10 degrees or whatever and the barometric pressure. And I had this like job when I moved there and I was like this is 2007 after I left the Nerve and being a guy who wrote for a rock and roll magazine and I went and fucking worked in a call center and just basically got fat and died inside. But that's besides the point. So I'd be working, and this guy beside me, his face was all red, and he was like, had his head in his hands. He's like, and I was like, what's up, bro? And he's like, oh, Chinook's coming. And I was like,
Yeah.
and I was like, being like super empathetic, Dale. I was fucking pumped because that meant it was going to get warm. But my point is, if a barometric pressure is giving this guy a migraine. Just
Yeah.
imagine what like a slight barometric pressure might do to like it might give you like brain fog or like make because we don't even see the weirdest thing. I was thinking about this today. I don't know why I was thinking about this in the shower. It's like we don't know how the fuck brains work. We don't know where souls come from. We don't even know what all that fucking shit is.
Oh, science has no theory for consciousness,
Yeah, and
rather
it's
famously.
yeah, it's basically since the 1950s, the burnt toast commercial. They poke your brain with these metal things, and they're like, "Oh, that's where you smell burnt toast. Oh, that's what makes you feel angry." So they don't fucking know. So like a barometric pressure of like a sudden weather change of the atmospheric river that fucking Harp made or whoever did, it's just bugging us now. So that's probably what it was. It was probably like the electromagnetic thing, barometric pressure, whichever thing that affects our like fucking balloons of pus and blood, made your brain chemistry that we have no idea how it fucking works, made it work slightly different. So you got clumsy.
I did get clumsy. I also would like to add to that all of that that uh, that wasn't an atmospheric river, and I know that because atmospheric rivers don't exist, and anybody who thinks they do should never be anywhere near like a position of power or influence. Probably shouldn't have children. I
Too
I'll, I'll,
late.
qu- I'll quote James Taylor. I've seen fire, I've seen rain. That was rain. It was just rain. Seen it before. I remember when I moved to Vancouver in 1990
Yeah.
and was loving it because I moved in the summer and it was like fucking amazing. I was living in Kitsilano. I was just at the
Oh,
beach every
wow.
day.
Kitsilano in the 90s?
Oh, it was the
Oh,
best.
dare
It
to
was the best.
dream.
And then I got a beautiful little apartment on Jervis Street. $300 a month for an apartment on
Fuck, I
Jervis
am
and
loving
Davy and Jervis,
I'm
the
building a
the
time machine.
the Holly Lodge.
And I'm gonna go
And
be Adrian in 1990's best friend.
it was a great time. And then winter came. And I
Oh,
remember sitting in my beautiful little apartment with the hardwood floors and the vaulted ceilings and the bay windows and feeling pretty good, except that the rain was endless. It was
yeah.
endless. I still think about that winter where and I had holes in my shoes because I was poor
Mm-hmm.
and I was young and stupid and I wouldn't take I got an ingrown toenail. The point is this. I've seen rain. That's rain. It's just rain.
So it all boils down to. Um, yeah.
We've again avoided all topics.
No, we haven't. We touched P. Diddy. Oh, I wanted to go back to the Gold Globe nominees because you brought it up.
Yeah.
I wanted to be like the same dickhead who makes every podcast joke that every other podcast made. It was like, oh, sorry, we didn't get nominated for the Golden Globes. But honestly, in my opinion, if they don't nominate Tucker Carlson or Candace Owens or Joe Rogan, then how is this even a ranking of podcasts?
Well, they can't do that because
Oh yeah,
that would
those are the basket of deplorables basically of the podcast world. And
brilliant.
and
Nice.
the thing about Golden Globes I just wanted to point out is it's not just that it's not that the people at Golden Globes go, which podcast is good with the people? Basically, you have to petition the gold. It's just like the movies and the Oscars, where it's like, they don't pick the best ones. It's the people set out and basically
It's political, yeah.
petition to have their movies
Oh, I see.
considered.
I
So it's
suppose.
like these podcasts probably at one point the word went around that the Golden Globes are going to add podcasts to the thing. So these bit like they're pretty big. Like it's like Armchair Expert and Call Her Daddy, and some other ones. So
Good
these
hang.
yeah, Good Hang with Amy Poehler. So it's these podcasts who have someone who's very famous who would have a really good agent who would have
Totally.
access to PR agencies, which basically there's probably a couple months, about a year ago, where there was multiple people scheming on how to get these podcasts into these nominations.
Right. Yeah.
So I just like that's my one big thing about why I hate like all these awards groups and stuff. It's because it's never what I like best, which I don't expect it to be, but it's like I don't even watch the Oscar movies anymore because they're all boring and homework movies. But
Yeah,
it's like,
they're
so
awful.
these podcast ones, like I used to listen to Armchair Expert. I like Dax Shepard. It's actually pretty good when you want to listen to like a little more polished Joe Rogan who doesn't talk to people who beat each other up in a cage, and he instead talks to like the same mindfulness and health. Like he has a lot of the same guests. Like he has like um me totally blanking on all like these pretty popular like Huberman and people like that who are talking about like the modern mindfulness and health and stuff. And I
Mm.
haven't listened to Call Her Daddy, and I don't know if that's just basically some girl talking about how the dude she fucked. I'd imagine it's evolved past that. It's been years and different iterations of the actual podcast. And I imagine that just like, because it started out as like a homegrown podcast like this, but then it got super famous because people like sex and they want to hear about hot girls talking about sex. And
Mm.
then Barstool Profits offered them 80th grand a year to add them to their window. And they're like people who didn't make that. So they're like, hell yeah. And then the two girls, like, because there used to be have two hosts, and they started fighting because one of them fucking loved making a certain amount of money at Barstool Profits, thought life was gravy, don't rock the boat, we're going to keep doing this. And the other one got greedy and was like, this could be more. I could be more famous. I could have more money. So she's like tried to split and get out of her contract. And then eventually, when the dust settled, she got the name Call Her Daddy back. And then she started a new podcast. And then me and Adrian are both conspiracy dudes, and we're like, that doesn't sound organic or unastroturfed at all. And I'm sure there was certain things that helped that along the way.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Mom's got grease, but well, thank you for that aside on something I couldn't give two shits about. That
You're not, yeah,
long aside. I
I
want to,
know.
before we say anything else, please just a reminder that I'm not a fan of Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, or even Joe Rogan for that matter. No
That's
more
fine.
than I am a fan of Come Town or Chapo Trap House or those dumbasses.
I do want to point out
But I like the Pickton guy.
that absolutely no one in my social circle likes Joe Rogan, Tucker Carlson, or Candace Owens. I only have acquaintances who I meet once in a while who talk about Joe Rogan. But and this is like you're talking about how the left basically you like separated from them permanently. There's many things that the left does that annoys me, and one of them is they're not funny when they do podcasts,
They're
and
so not funny.
their opinions are constantly changing. And like the one thing I like about Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson and Joe Rogan is they're probably wrong a lot. Whatever, I'm fucking wrong a lot. Look at me. But they always like it
They can.
feels like what they are saying is what they actually think and feel.
Mm.
Like I know that people can be, I guess, like sell out. Like basically like the term like we're Gen X. Selling out was the worst thing, and that was basically when you say you believe and love something that you don't actually believe or love. So they are on the right, like Candace Owen and Tucker Carlson are both about as right wing as you can get. Like they're on the level where Protestant isn't Christian enough, so they both converted to Catholicism and
And
they
I
don't understand why people aren't Catholic. And I'm like, that sounds like a secret world order waiting to happen. And they have commercials that are anti-abortion, which is one of my like will probably die the last is people have the rights to abortion. That'll like so I'll basically be left until I die, and no matter what the left would actually tell you about me. So like, yeah, I have disagreements with them, but I do learn a fucking lot of shit just
I
because
will
they,
I will
yeah.
say this. I will say,
Mhm.
not that I pay that much attention, and I certainly pay very little attention to Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, but Joe Rogan does, evince a genuine curiosity about subjects. I think
Mhm.
I've said this on your podcast maybe 4 years ago. He is a meathead. So but he can surprise me sometimes.
Yeah.
He's a sensitive meathead,
Yeah.
but he is open, and I do believe that it's a kind of controlled opposition. His permission to exist on that
Oh
level
yeah.
is it's a permission.
Mhm.
And so he's fulfilling somebody's function, whether
Mhm.
he's witting or not. But on the ground, the guy seems open, and I appreciate that. I do appreciate
Yeah.
it. but I don't have to listen in, you know. It's curious, whatever happened to that fucking Lex Fridman guy? He's
He
disappeared. Remember, he was everywhere.
he's still
Or
around. I
is he
think
just out of my algorithm? Did he get
he's
dumped
out of
from
your
my?
algorithm. I think he took some time off, and he's another one of those guys who's like just does what he thinks is right and stuff. So he probably run afoul of the gatekeepers. And because he was definitely like there was a time when like he went on Joe Rogan, because Joe Rogan will have like new podcasters and all this stuff who he likes, and they'll go on there and then they'll get famous. And then but like Lex Freeman was always way more famous than he basically I felt justified. Not that,
Deserved to be. Yeah, he just
yeah.
came out of nowhere, which made me highly suspicious.
And like the bottom rung of this, like the simplest way to put this is as a podcaster, you can like Joe Rogan's a prime example. You're only as good and famous as your guests a lot of the time. And Lex Freeman, like he was fucking like talking to Putin and fucking all these world leaders and all these super big people. And it's not like one guy working out of his apartment who's like on the carnivore diet, so he eats McDonald's burgers. That guy's not the guy who's getting these interviews.
Well, he's an
Somebody,
MIT. He's from MIT, right?
oh yeah,
Speaking
that's
of,
true. Oh
speaking
yeah,
of,
he's like super coder guy.
social media is or my social media, what I experience of it, which is very narrow, is all about this picture that's emerged of Chomsky with Steve Bannon, and the two of them yucking it up. Have you seen that picture?
No.
Speaking of MIT, and speaking of controlled opposition,
Chomsky just reminds me of all the books I was supposed to read in college but didn't because they were boring.
Chomsky, well, manufacturing consent is, very important and it's a classic, but
Oh, really,
Chomsky,
Adrian? Is war bad? Cool.
yeah. Well, I know that's the thing. I know, like, but
Uh, it does give people factoids and stuff to argue on why it's
but
bad.
he
I get it.
also, but he very, very visibly and very infamously will tell you some things aren't important. The Kennedy assassination, not important. And 9/11, not important.
Oh,
My,
I
my Professor Chomsky, my support of the Khmer Rouge, not important. So
I'm with you that maybe the Kennedy isn't that important, but 9/11 is
you're
probably
way right.
the
You're so
most
wrong.
important thing that happened in our lifetimes.
Yeah.
My cop out is Kennedy was killed before I was born, so.
Well, you don't get a 9/11 without a Kennedy, I'm afraid.
Oh, that's a good point. It's a very good point. Dude, I don't know if you did you I'm not trying to put you on the spot about not watching the Dale Show, my other podcast where I actually do research, and I stopped doing it because I don't have time because I have a toddler. But I did a couple shows on MK Ultra, and I
Yeah,
keep meaning to ask you about
I didn't
this,
even know
but
you had another show.
this this might actually be the wrong time because we're at the end of our hour. But I
Oh boy.
encourage people to look at basically if you want to do homework, your homework is to, I mean, you could just watch my podcast and I talk about it, or you could go and research how there was MK Ultra links to the college in Ottawa where
No, no, you're thinking of the Allen Memorial Institute, right?
is that the guy who was doing psychic driving?
Yeah, Ewan Cameron, Dr. Ewan Cameron, and that was out of it's Montreal. What's the
Oh yeah,
uni-
Ravensburg Castle or whatever it's called.
No,
Dude,
no.
a castle that
Well,
they turned into a fucking school, which is
I'm
dope.
not sure about that. But no, what's the university?
It
And
starts with
fucking
an M, doesn't it? That's a good way to
I,
end a
I
podcast.
hate that I'm blanking on it.
McGill?
McGill, thank you.
Yes.
Jesus.
That's so smart.
You ever
Oh,
seen
he's
that picture of
like a
Leonard
laser
Cohen?
guy.
Leonard Cohen was one of their subjects. But
Dude,
of course,
Leonard Cohen, for whatever reason, I always got like, you know when you get the heebie-jeebies about something, but
there's heebie-jeebies. I love him, but there's heebie-jeebies.
but sometimes it's good heebie-jeebies. Like the first time a girl tells you to pull your hair and you're like, that's wrong. I don't think I should. But you get like this little weird feeling in the back of your mind where it's like, try it. You might
Well,
like it. And then that's Leonard Cohen. Leonard Cohen is the first time you pull a girl's hair during sex. I'm just gonna say it.
yeah, I got questions. I love Leonard Cohen, but here's let's end on this thought. Uh, the four or five of you listening, go and check out a song from 1990, Leonard Cohen's song "The Future," and
Yeah.
he tells you everything that's happening right now.
He talks about anal sex in that
How did
song.
yeah, give me crack and anal sex.
There's your heebie-jeebies.
Take the only tree that's left and stick it up the hole in your culture.
Yeah. take it. Poetry.
You'll see
Um,
your woman hanging upside down, her features covered by her fallen gown. There'll be something, something, and all the lousy little poets coming around trying to sound like Charlie Manson and the white man dancing. I gotta go.
I will say this, Leonard Cohen is the only slam poetry that I will tolerate.
I'm with you.
Yeah, that was episode 283. I hope you enjoyed me and Adrian just basically going down conspiracy lane instead of talking about what made people angry on the line today. Well, we kind of talked about some of it.
Maybe
Adrian
for a
has,
little homework, go and look into what is the Kabbalistic meaning of 283.
oh, is there a meaning?
No, no,
Ah,
there's nothing. No.
there's meaning for all numbers. You're like, once you get into numerology, like if you add 8 to 10 and it's 13 and it's bad, like whatever.
Well, it's the
Anyways,
language of the universe, right? Math?
yeah, math.
No, it's not.
It's not?
It's Chinese.
Oh, yeah, probably. All right. Stay angry.
Okay.